evening guys, Mikethebear here. I was planning to make a video tonight about Earth's moon, known as Luna. And unfortunately, she's not out at the moment. She's on the other side of the Earth right now, despite the fact that it's night time. So I'm going to have to do it without her. So Luna, the moon, is 384,000 kilometers away from Earth. And to put that into perspective, it would take you 190 days to drive there at 100 kilometers an hour. That's how far away it is. Even though light only takes 1.3 seconds to go between us and the moon. It's an incredible distance, and it's much further away than it looks. And that's because our atmosphere magnifies it. So, life on Earth would be extremely different if it weren't for the moon. And that's because the moon stabilizes the Earth. So what it does is it provides, and fuck it's windy, it provides a gravitational tug on the Earth. That's why we have the tides, because the moon is pulling on the Earth's oceans, and the liquid is bulges on the side facing the moon. So the moon was formed approximately 3.5 billion years ago. That was roughly 30 to 50 million years after the formation of the solar system from a huge disk of dust and all sorts of different metals and particles. And it was formed during an incredible impact between two planets that had quite an unfortunate orbit. So these two planets were a smaller proto-Earth and another world which we call Theia. So Theia and Earth had a massive impact, and Theia was roughly the size of Mars. The two planets were very similar in size. And the impact was so intense that the two planets merged together, and what didn't merge together was ejected into space, eventually creating a ring around the Earth. And that ring slowly started to coalesce into what we now know as the moon. Now typically, what we would expect under these circumstances is that the moon is made up predominantly out of the pieces of Theia. But one thing that's really strange is that it's actually a mixture, a very, very even mixture of Earth and Theia. The rocks on the moon are nearly identical to the rocks on Earth. Now, how could that be? Because what our previous projection models explained was that Earth's spin was much the same as it is now, and that's where they're wrong. Earth, back in the day, just after the formation of the solar system, had a day that was only 2 hours long. It was spinning incredibly fast. So you then ask, well, what slowed that down? The formation of the moon is what slowed it down. So the reason that matters is because the Earth was spinning so quickly that it absorbed almost all of the material from Theia and ejected its own material at roughly the same rate. So therefore, both the moon and the Earth are made up of nearly an identical composition of materials. So as I said earlier, the moon has a tug on the Earth, and the reason our day is slowed down is specifically because of that. Now the moon moves away from Earth at roughly, I think it's 1 centimeter every year. And despite what you might think, the moon does not orbit the Earth, not at all. The Earth and the moon both orbit a common center of gravity. And that means that the moon's orbit has a huge impact on the speed that the Earth spins. So I went out with my friend Bundy a few days ago, and he and I filmed this at a local playground. So what you'll see is me spinning on this thing, I don't know what to call it. I'm spinning, okay? And as I extend my arms out, I slow down. That is because I am changing my center of mass. I'm extending it outwards, which slows me down. It slows down my spin. But as I bring my arms back in, you'll notice that I speed up again because my center of mass has come further in. And it's the exact same principle applies to the Earth and the Moon's center of orbital gravity. So not only did this impact create the moon, but it also offset the Earth's orbit, which was what gives us the seasons. Oi! Cheers, cunt. So if it weren't for that, we wouldn't have winter and summer, and the climate on Earth would be very, very different. So if it weren't for the moon's constant tugging on the Earth and stabilizing our orbit, our spin could vary by as much as 90 degrees, and that's nearly sideways. That's having the polar ice cap facing the sun under some circumstances, which could not be good, I tell you that. And life on Earth would be so radically different because we've evolved with the moon. I mean, we've got creatures like moths and other insects that use it to navigate. And human behavior at night is actually influenced by the moon. We tend to be more violent on nights where the full moon is out, because back in the day... Are you just going to race past me, mate? Yep, okay. Because back in the day, you couldn't hunt at night except for when there was a full moon out. And that's just another evolutionary adaptation that's sort of subconsciously in our mind. The moon is just an incredible satellite. It's the largest natural satellite out of any in the solar system. Are you going to tailgate any further, mate? I'm not going to let you move over. I'm just going to block him. Hey. So we take this all so much for granted, but we almost quite literally could not exist if it were not for the moon. Earth's climate, its evolutionary process would be so radically different. Life would just be incredibly strange without it, and we take it for granted. Anyway, guys, that's another Mike the Scientist. This driver's a fucking cunt. Fucking tailgate me, you piece of shit. If you enjoy these videos, chuck us a like, even a subscribe. I've got more in the Mike the Scientist series planned. Anyway, have a fantastic night, everyone, and I will see you all next time.
If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you?